Hi. Okay, let's do the actual weekly roundup thing and stop moaning about other things. Not moaning, but because I'm going to respect the fact that that's how I feel. But so I think what I'm going to start doing on these Fridays at 11 is I'm going to go back over my journals and kind of take something that I was talking about and discuss it. So one of the things I'm looking at right now in my journal, which I'm holding in my lap, is so over the summer where I kind of lifted myself out of my depression. I'm sorry, I'm laying back because my back is really hurting. I've got my heating pad on it. So relax and release. As a roundup, let's just do a roundup first. So this week I was feeling very stressed about my business and getting things under control, and my body's reacting to the stress. And then I found out about my ex getting engaged, the way they get engaged over there, which is not because they love each other, but because they want to get to know each other and see if they can stand each other, so that if they can stand each other, they get married. And that's a great reason to get married, right? I can stand you, you can stand me. We might not be miserable if we get married. We might not be miserable if we get married. And then if we do get married and we are miserable, tough shit, because we can't get divorced. That's awesome. Anyway, so one of the things I was writing about when I was kind of getting myself out of the depression, I don't remember if I know I've told you guys this, but if you don't know, one of the main ways I got myself out was I was journaling and using a book about Buddhism to sort of as a prompt. And I was examining my suffering, because the first noble truth, I was using like the concept behind meditation and the noble truths to prompt me. So I was reading about it. The first noble truth is the existence of suffering, and the fact that suffering exists, right? And that really we cause our suffering, but that comes in later. That's the second noble truth. So I spent like 3 weeks kind of considering the suffering that I was going through. And I was really only taking one aspect of it. I started with my weight and how I was suffering because I was so overweight. And I still am, but I have lost a lot. And there was, looking at I knew I was suffering, but I started looking at all the different ways in which I was suffering, which I had, I knew it, right? I knew that I was suffering. I knew I was suffering this way and that way. But when I started breaking it down into like, okay, physical suffering, emotional suffering, financial suffering, spiritual suffering, personal relationship suffering, romantic relationship suffering, all of it, I realized how pervasive it was. And honestly, being overweight obviously clearly was a symptom of something more. And that's sort of how I made my way into that something more. But I wanted to discuss, because I didn't even think like, okay, I'm suffering spiritually because I'm overweight. But I started writing about it, and I realized that I was. So I want to talk about, I guess, how we suffer, and the reason to address that, the reason to look at that, is so that we understand it and we can start to see the ways in which we're contributed to it, right? That's the second noble truth, how we're feeding our suffering, what we're doing to contribute to our suffering. So, man, no, I'm not getting older, no. So, a lot of it had to do with self-loathing, right? Self-loathing, and that's why I was eating the way I was and not getting the exercise that I should have been getting, and, not taking care of myself the way that I should be taking care of myself. Back. Not taking care of myself the way in which I should have been taking care of myself. So, But the suffering specifically I was doing from my spirituality was I felt that I was living in a way that was contrary to what the way the universe wanted me to live. Human beings evolved in a certain way to eat certain things in a certain way. Um, you know, not tubs of ice cream, which sound delicious to me even right now. I'm gonna open this because there we go. Oh, that's a little too much light. Look this way. All right, whatever. It's too much light. This curtain. All right, there we go. Anyway, whatever. Yeah, I don't like that. So I felt that I was conducting my life in a way that was contrary to what the universe had laid down, right? The rules of the universe. I wasn't eating the way that I should. I was eating, I mean, you can look at it anyway, but this is how I was seeing it. I'm looking down at the journal, that I should be working within the rules of the universe, right? Which are that my body as a human being evolved to eat in a certain way in certain things, and evolved to be walking all day long. And granted, we only lived to 36 back then, but that I felt so gross about. I mean, I still don't. I'm not like, I'm not still not thrilled about my body, but back then I was even more upset, and that's understandable. I was like 60, no, not 60, like 30 pounds heavier than I am right now. And I want to be 30 pounds lighter than I am right now. So, I'm about halfway to where I want to be. Sorry, I'm carried away by other suffering right now. But, yeah, when I was examining my spiritual suffering in the light of my weight and how I was treating myself, let's just call it how I was treating myself, I realized that I was not treating myself the way the universe wanted me to treat myself, right? I'm feeling very sad right now. And I'm having a hard time focusing on what I'm trying to tell you guys. I'm just reading what I wrote about this stuff, and I go into my relationship with my sister there, so that's not really what. I mean, honestly, one of the biggest problems that I was having spiritually is that how much I hated myself because I had gained so much weight, and I was the shape that I was, and I was miserable. I was miserable, and it was feeding on itself. And I hated myself about it. And the more I hated myself, the more I ate. It's that stupid cycle, right? I want to find there was something I remember being like, oh, no, that wasn't it. I don't know. That's my stomach. I don't know, guys. I'm really unfocused right now. because of everything that's going on. There was something about my body being... Right. I remember when I was writing about how I was suffering because of my weight, and like, how could I possibly turn it around and love my body? I realized that actually my body was just trying to do me a favor. My body was actually trying to help me by storing all the weight, because it was expecting me to need it, right? And then it was doing what it thought was best for me, and it was trying to be a friend, and that was sort of a way into not hating my body as much as I did. That was a big real revelation, that my body was just trying to be a friend to me by doing what it's doing, and that I was abusing it. And yeah. Anyway, I should plan these things out better, and I'm going to start. But right now, I'm just obsessed with the bags under my eyes, and I keep talking about it, and it's gotta stop. Anyway, this is just like a study on how neurotic I am right now. So when we're in pain, we look at it, we acknowledge it, we see it, we relax, we release, blah, blah, blah. That's what I feel like right now. Anyway, this video is not coming out very good, and I don't care. I do care. Right now, I am just focusing on everything that's wrong with me, like everything that I feel like is wrong with me, everything that I feel like should be different. And that's a habit. It's not a good one. Because what we should be focusing on is what we love about ourselves, right? We should be focusing on what is good and what is changeable and what is not changeable. We should leave alone. And yeah, this one is not a great one, guys. So I'm going to start planning these out. I'm going to start, like, sit down this weekend and write out what I'm going to talk about for the next month on Fridays. So I'm grateful for that. Anyway, I'm grateful for my friends. I'm grateful for people that help me along the way. The people that have come into my life to help me, and who I've helped. I'm grateful for the ability to help others, and the lessons that I'm learning and letting them go. And the lessons I will continue to learn as I work on letting it go. And even though the sadness is there, even though there's sadness there, there's birds that are singing, which probably shouldn't be singing because it's not even February, and those birds shouldn't be here until like March or April. But we can learn from our pain. We can learn from our suffering, right? Because the pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. And we can learn not to suffer. And that's what I'm working on. So, even when I'm sad, even when you're sad, even when it's hard to find things to be grateful for, there are always things to be grateful for. I'm about to go talk to a friend of mine who's very awesome, and I'm grateful for that. And I'm grateful for all the things that I have, because my life is so much better, but so much easier than a lot of other people's lives on this planet, which makes my suffering even more optional. I'm grateful for the progress that I've made and the progress that I will make. I'm grateful for the people that I can help. So I'm going to leave that here for now. I'm grateful for the love I felt and I feel towards people, and the happiness it's brought me. And the love it's brought me for myself. Like love of myself. Lots of happy times. And there will be more. Just different happy times with different people. Anyway. There's so much love. I have so much love in my heart. People. And it just goes out. And I can be grateful for that. So, I'm just going to remind you guys that you too. It's hard. It's hard to choose to be grateful sometimes. Because there's so much sometimes that is easy to be sad about. It's easy to just want to lose yourself in that sadness. But that's not healthy and that's not useful. And I'm grateful. Because even though the sadness is there, the things that are bringing the sadness brought me joy as well. So I can be grateful for that joy. And I can pray that the person who brought me that joy is happy now. Anyway, I'm just going to remind you guys too that even when you're sad, always look for something to be grateful for. Always look for something to be grateful for and feel the gratitude. So, I'm just going to remind you again that you can always choose to have a grateful day.